NASA. Moon landing shock. The NASA tapes lost in 1970s exposed the biggest secret of the century. A moon landing mystery 40 years in the making can finally be put to rest after scientists recovered the lost NASA tapes from the monumental Apollo space missions. We were all astonished that they could be lost. How is it that the only country that landed a man on the moon could lose the tapes of that landing? It was unbelievable. This is by Express UK Sebastian Kelly. So what happened? A painstaking 8 years of data recovery led a group of US scientists to finally figure out why the surface of the moon warmed up in the 1970s. Scientists at Texas Tech University in Lubbock examined a set of lost NASA data tapes to measure the impact of the human activity on the moon. Little that it was. The researchers discovered astronauts from the Apollo moon landings disturbed the delicate surface of the moon enough to change the amount of sunlight being absorbed by the moon's surface. As a result of the lunar disturbance, the moon's surface temperature spiked by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. The person who led the research said, this is Seiichi Nagihara, said, in the process of installing the instruments, you may actually end up disturbing the surface thermal environment of the place where you want to make some measurements. That kind of consideration certainly goes into the designing of the next generation of instruments that will someday deploy to the moon. The scientists concluded there is no feasible way for future manned missions to explore the moon without disturbing the delicate ecosystem, of course. During the Apollo 15 and 17 missions between 1971 and 72, astronauts measured the moon's surface temperatures to establish if the natural Earth satellite's core is hot like the Earth's. That's what they were trying to find out. The measurements were beamed back to Earth and stored on magnetic tapes at the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston from 71 until 77. But when the temperature measurements were ended in 1977, only a portion of the data was securely archived in NASA's National Space Science Data Center. A few of the tapes from 75 to 77 were never properly archived and were presumed lost until now. They've been refound. In 2010, Dr. Nagihara and the team of dedicated colleagues attempted to track down these tapes to figure out the lunar mystery. The researchers uncovered 440 copies of archival tapes with temperature flow data from April through June 1975. They were quietly stashed away at the Washington National Records Center in Suitland, Maryland. So the scientists got their hands on hundreds of the weekly logs at the Lunar and Planetary Institute in Houston, where NASA scientists recorded heat flow figures from the moon. And 8 years after setting out on that venture, the scientists were able to reconstruct the missing data from everything they've uncovered. Dr. Nagihara said the data helped him figure out why activity around the lunar landing zones led to warmer surface readings. The darker soil beneath the gray dust of the moon absorbs more sunlight, which makes it warmer, the scientists suspected. Nagihara said it doesn't take much disturbance to get the very subtle warming on the surface. So analysis of the historic data together with the new images of the moon really helped us characterize how the surface warmed, he said. So these astonishing findings were published in the latest issue of the science journal of Geophysical Research. Planets, a journal of the American Geophysical Union.